Yeah, thank you, Marshall. Signature problems have sent 3 Republican Senate candidates to court in an attempt to get their names on next month's primary ballot. Robert Blaha and John Kaiser both won their cases. Ryan Frazier is still fighting, filing a last-ditch appeal with the Colorado Supreme Court on Friday. Ryan Frazier is here. We're talking about a lot of technicalities on signatures. So what is your argument to the court?
Man, as much as I'd rather be here talking with you about how we close the middle skills jobs gap, deal with transportation infrastructure, create greater energy independence, we're talking about fixing a broken system, quite frankly, a system where the rules and laws are stuck in the last century. We know, without a shadow of a doubt, that we had more than enough valid Republican voter signatures that should have been counted, that were thrown out in this process, and that's what we're fighting to fix. I mean, these were relatively technical or small errors where the voter, for instance, might have not updated their most recent address, but they still live in the same town, the same congressional district, and the Secretary of State's office even gives them the same voter ID, yet that person's signature was thrown out.
And is this even fair to voters, really, when you think about this? We're a month away from the primary. Right. Their vote may or may not count. Your name's already on some ballots.
Yeah, well, my name's on the ballot, and we're fighting to make sure that every vote counts, and we are confident that the reason the Supreme Court has taken up our case is because they too see that the system is flawed and needs to be fixed. And that's what we're working on. And this isn't about me. This is about a system that needs to work for voters. It needs to work for Colorado, because that's what counts. People want to know that their voices count and that their voices are heard, and we're fighting for that.
Well, either way, you've been part of the forums here recently. Yeah. What is it about you? There's a handful of candidates. Why you? Why should people vote for you?
Well, you know, I'm a small business owner. I'm a military veteran. I'm a co-founder of one of the largest public charter schools in our state. And for 8 years, I also represented the 3rd largest urban community, Aurora, where I worked on the redevelopment of Fitzsimmons. I think I bring a unique profile to this race, one that contrasts very well with that of the incumbent Senator Michael Bennet, who, quite frankly, Ann, I believe is not even out of touch. He's never been in touch. And so when you look at a contrast between the two of us, I think it's a very stark one, and it's one that many Coloradans can relate with. I know what it's like to work paycheck to paycheck.
So what's the contrast? Give me some comparison.
Well, you know, Michael Bennet votes with President Obama's agenda 98% of the time. Hardly independent, hardly bipartisan, yet he'll try to tell you this. This is a guy who was born on third base but thinks he hit a triple. The reality is that he's voted for Obamacare, which premiums have gone through the roof for many Coloradans.
And you're against Obamacare?
I believe that we have to replace Obamacare with consumer choice that empowers consumers to have more control over their health care decisions and actually brings down the cost of health care. And yet Michael Bennet voted for it. He voted to release funds that would allow the detainees in Guantanamo Bay to be released, and many of which back to U.S. soil. Again, I think that's a bad decision, and most Coloradans don't believe that's in line with what they think ought to happen. He has done time and again, vote after vote, shown his allegiance to a Democrat agenda that is out of step with Colorado. And so as a small business owner, as a military veteran, as someone who understands what it takes to get our economy going, to actually create jobs and get more Coloradans working, I believe that's a contrast that we ought to have.
How do you create more jobs in Colorado? The minimum wage issue, how do you feel about that?
Well, I believe that when it comes to minimum wage, we need to let the market drive those types of decisions, because it's important to understand that as small business owners are concerned, anytime you increase their costs, they have to make one or two decisions. Either they're not going to hire, or they're going to cut jobs, or they're going to have to increase the cost of that service or that good. And here's how we close the jobs gap in this state. Right now, middle skills jobs make up 50% of Colorado jobs. A middle skills job is those jobs that don't quite require a 4-year degree, but you need more education and training than, say, a high school diploma, an electrician, an aircraft mechanic. 50% of Colorado jobs, yet only 42% of Coloradans are trained and educated to get those jobs. We need to make sure these folks have the training and education that it takes to get those jobs, to provide a living for themselves and their families. And if we do that, we can put tens of thousands of Coloradans back to work. And that's what I'm doing. I'm traveling the state of Colorado, having a conversation about how we get Colorado and America on a better course, a better direction.
We've had other Republican candidates here asking them the same thing. Yeah. Do you support Donald Trump?
Well, I've always said I intend to support the Republican nominee for president. I think any one of these guys would be better than Hillary Clinton. What I would like, and what I've said time and again, is I would like Mr. Trump to come to Colorado, to come have a conversation with Coloradans about what we care about, and give us an opportunity to get to know him, so that we can determine whether, in fact, we believe he's the best man for the job.
So come voting day, will you vote for Donald Trump?
Well, I intend to vote for the Republican nominee.
So this was a yes or no question.
Yes. and I said I intend to vote for the Republican nominee, and I believe that any alternative to Mrs. Hillary is a good alternative for our country.
All right. Ryan Frazier, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. We'll be right back.